Good Milli Vanilli morning to all of you. And if you are having a Milli Vanilli morning, one of you is dead due to suicide, but the other of you is participating in Freedom 250, the American celebration hosted by the Republican Party in the United States. So, good morning. I'm Malcolm Nance. Welcome to Black Man Spy. U.S., Iran, what did I call it today? Crackhead cast or something, I can't recall. Worse than confusion, crazy cast. It's the Crazy Cast Day 94. And there's a reason I call it Crazy Cast, because things is crazy. And we will get around to that. First, we had a comment yesterday about they like us bantering up to 1,000 people. Some people want to get right to the news, but people love this program because we are realistic. And in the intelligence community, as you are entering into your morning briefing, there is a period before the official briefing where everyone gets their coffee cups and starts talking smack to each other, and jokes and insults start flying across the room. And we all have our coffee cups. And as you can see, I am back in my Canadian lair where I am here to get my dogs and to, of course, partake in a little quiet time. But my house in upstate New York needs a lot of work. And since I am chief of maintenance, cleaning, logistics, and cook, cleaner, and dog sitter, I have to get back down there because there's a lot of work that's not being done. And the weather's incredible. And, I got 5 acres. That shit's got to be mowed. And so not only that, I have nice memorial garden to my late wife, which I like to relax in, have a Aperol spritz, and just have a grand old time. But no, I'm in Canada. And there's a couple of other reasons I'm in Canada too. The veterinarians are cheaper up here. My mother-in-law loves me. And I have family here. I am in my family home. And who knows, at this point, I may have to, according to the news, this is light banter. According to the news, the Trump administration is hunting down critics on X and Reddit and Blue Sky and blah, blah, blah. And needless to say, I've written 5 New York Times bestsellers about the Trump administration. Okay, for those of you who asked, somebody made a comment, 3 of which were in the top 10. I couldn't break number 5 because I was up against some guy named Neil deGrasse Tyson. So, not bad for a book about the United States essentially coming apart because our government is being run by an asset of Russian intelligence. And they released the book in July when everyone's on the beach. So, not bad, but still 3 New York Times top 10 bestsellers and 2 other that were in the top 15 bestsellers. And that requires me to do a lot more work than sitting around and yakking on the news. But it does give me insight as to what's going on. So as a critic, apparently the Justice Department is going to be ordering the FBI and other organizations to come to our houses and have a little chat with us. And it's intended to be an intimidation factor, which will be fun because I got cameras everywhere, right? I'll know they're coming a week in advance. So I will make sure that I'm in Canada when I answer the Ring doorbell, which is one of my favorite things in the world. I did this from Indonesia. I actually had to sign for a UPS from Indonesia. I told the guy, hey, I'm in the shower, just leave it there. And the guy believed me. From the other side of the world. So get Ring doorbells. They're the greatest. Hey, how are you? Here's our Jacob Karsbo, Danish intelligence officer extraordinaire, with his, what kind of mug you rocking?
Today I'm in the peaceful mood mug, so it's the UN. It's the UN mug. But I will say, as I told you yesterday, I was doing a public speaking event last night.
Yes.
And it was like out just 7 or 8 kilometers here on the coast, a very posh part of northern Copenhagen. And outside, there was
Oh,
like a bar lined up and everything. And
wait.
usually, I don't drink Aperol Spritz. But now that you mentioned it, I meet two guys out the front. They offer me Aperol Spritz. So I was actually on stage with an Aperol Spritz for the first time in my life last night. So that was a first, I will say.
That's funny. My one of my favorite bars on this planet is in Yaffo in Israel, right? Yaffo was a separate ancient Phoenician, Roman, Egyptian, everybody in, right? The Ottomans, the French even took it. The British took it from the French. It is an ancient, tiny seaport. And in an ancient section of it, I actually stayed in an Airbnb that was next to Simon the Apostle, not Simon Zalati. Yeah, Simon Zalatis was sent to Yaffo to heal somebody. I think it might have been Jebediah. I can't recall. He was sent to heal somebody in Jesus. So Jesus was doing a remote healing through Simon. And my Airbnb was like 10 steps from that door. And it was found like in the 16th century or something. But everybody had known about it. There were carvings in the walls that said, this is the house of Simon Zalatis in Latin and stuff. And so right down the steps from Simon Zalatis' house is a bar called Aperol Spritz, right on the water, right? And all they got in their windows is bottles of Aperol. So when you sit down, you know what you're getting, right? Either a double espresso or an Aperol Spritz. So in the morning, I would have a double espresso. And every other time of the day, Aperol Spritzes, baby.
Aperol Spritz.
Love that place. That place and my favorite cafe in all of Israel is Sylvia's Cafe, which is just a little box, right? That sits right there on the edge of
Yeah.
the harbor. And with tables up there, and it sits in front of a series of rocks that are out in front of it. And when I did my podcast about that, I had to explain, I had people, I had the rocks behind me, and I said, how ancient is this place? And I turned my camera and I go, this is my Airbnb. This is built on a Roman granary. That granary was taken down and built into a 5th century monastery. That monastery has now recently been converted to an Airbnb and a hotel above it. To the left is the new mosque, right? Al Masjid Jadid. The new
Yeah.
mosque was built in 764 because it's new. Right?
It's very new.
The old ones down the street, that one was like from the original year of the Islamic conquest of Yaffo. And you're just like, the dates in that country are crazy. Up
Yeah.
on the hill, at the top of the hill, there is
Yeah.
a monolith from the Jews thanking Ramesses II for letting them escape. And you're like, and
Yeah,
it's in
that's right.
hieroglyphics. And you're like,
Yeah.
within one block, within 100 meters of me. And so while I'm giving this little talk,
Yeah.
I realize, oh, these rocks behind me, right? That are out in the water, maybe about 200 meters out. And those rocks define where the boats can come in at safely, right? Um, shoot, I'm having these are the rocks of Cassiopeia, right? And
Ah.
that's the story of the king of Ethiopia, right? Before they turned Christian, and his wife, her name escapes me. I'll take, because they're all constellations, right? Um, his wife insulted Zeus by saying that the sirens of the sea aren't as hot as their daughter, right? and okay, I'm gonna look it up right here. You guys can see me. And so the story. Oh, Andromeda's rock, not Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia was the mother. She insulted Zeus and said, "Hey, your hot sirens of the sea. I'm sorry, Poseidon. Aren't as beautiful as my daughter." So Poseidon got mad, went to Zeus and said, "Hey, we have to punish this lady." So they swooped down and took the daughter Andromeda, who was super hot, and chained her to the stones, to the rocks of Andromeda of Jaffo. And by the way, this is how old these rocks are. Okay? They're so old you can practically you can't see it because I'm blocking the way. I'll do this. They're so old that antiquity has stories from antiquity about these rocks. Okay? This was ancient history. This is off Jaffa.
Yeah.
This was ancient
Jaffa.
history at the time of Rome.
Yeah.
Okay. The Romans were telling antiquity stories. And
Yeah.
here's the funny part. So here we are at the Rock of Andromeda, right? Here's my
Yeah.
Airbnb. If you can't see it closely, I'll bring the camera
Yeah.
closer. This is hilarious. All right. Oh, you can. Here's my Airbnb over here, right? The new mosque is there. This whole thing was a monastery. Here's the Rock of Andromeda.
Yeah.
It's actually several rocks. Here's the cafe.
And
That
yeah,
little
and you
white
have
box is my cafe.
the little harbor and the fishing boats.
You see the umbrellas here?
Yeah.
Aperol Spritz, baby. There
Aperol
you
Spritz.
go. I love Yafo. I will not stay
Yeah.
in downtown Tel Aviv. I will not stay at the northern beaches.
I
Screw
go to
that. When I go to Israel,
yeah.
I want all the history all in one spot immediately. I love Yafo.
Jaffa.
So
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Ay, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
do.
yeah. And the rest of the story is so she was supposed to die chained to the rocks by the sea monster that was supposed to come and eat her, right? But some guy was oh geez. Um his name is now escaping me. This is what happens when you get old people. You can't remember all the stories of antiquity. But Perseus
I
Perseus
wouldn't
coming back
attempt.
from getting from one of his tasks for Zeus is flying by on Pegasus. And he looks down, he goes, "Yo, hot babe." And he swoops down, breaks the chains, takes Andromeda off the rocks, slays the sea monster that was coming to her, and has 12 children. That's how it works in antiquity. So there
That's
you
how it
have it.
works.
That's how we go from Aperol spritzes to ancient Greece and Roman mythology in a 3 millennia old. No, the seaport's not that old. Sylvia Cafe and Aperol Spritz is probably that old. Definitely those buildings are there. But Sylvia Cafe is one of my favorite cafes on the planet because it's so you just sit there and you're like, that's the Rock of Andromeda, you know? And that was ancient history for the ancients. Okay, it's all right. I know I'm
I
yakking too much. Wajeeh, I didn't see a coffee mug out of you. I just saw you with a blank stare. I don't care how. Okay, homemade,
I
Hearth-made
actually
mugs.
was I was actually doing some homework for you. Um, you were looking for the Jordanian dagger, and
Halas,
I found the official company from the Jordanian military that makes it.
Jaws,
Mm. Yes, Jaws, and I sent you their
Jordanian Armor
Instagram page.
Works. Let me tell you
So
something. If you guys are watching this podcast really seriously, you're going to learn crazy ass shit. That right? I was looking for when I was in Jordan, I was looking for a Jordanian army hanjar. They made a modern knife for the Jordanian army, and I later found out it wasn't made in Jordan, it's made in Sheffield, England, where all good knives are made, right? And so I was trying to get a Yemeni version and of this of jambiya. That's what they call those
yeah,
curvy The knife themselves are not curvy. The sheath is. The knife itself is straight. So Wajeeh and I were talking beforehand about the Jordanian army version. And we both have hookups in Jordan, so we're going to try to find it. That being said, that's enough small talk for the day. Wow, 1,100. Wajeeh, شو
Let's
صار
go.
مع الزيت يا حبيبي? What's going on with the oil? My dearest.
البترول البترول.
لا ليس بترول. هذا زيت.
Oh, that is oil, but we call oil different stuff. But here
I
it
know.
is.
I'm just playing with you. I've seen zit in it means olive oil most of the time. Okay, hit
Exactly.
us with the prices, bro.
Well, the WTI
Hey,
dropped another $1.50, making it
wow.
87.36. The Brent crude also dropped another $1.85, making it 91.12. Marban is at $90, still stable from yesterday. And then you got OPEC again, another $5 drop, making it $107.37. Very interesting drop. I think a lot of people feel that the peace talks might work, and for some reason in me, I don't feel like it's working, but the market is believing the lies.
Well, maybe it is working. And as a matter of fact, on my notes this morning, we're going to talk about that. But the first thing I want to talk about, gentlemen, is there was a message from the senior vice president of Exxon yesterday. I will bring it up in the bookmark so that you can read it. Robert Pape, Professor Robert Pape, professor of air warfare who helped plan the entirety of the Iranian air attacks for 20 years, who came up with the escalation trap theory, spoke to this individual. Whoop, that's not it. That's Catherine Doyle. And the senior vice president of Exxon has some things to say about the coming oil shortage. Yesterday, somebody somebody made a question that was in the notes, in the chat. And by the way, the chat is up. Just look for Crazy Cast because the news is going in every direction today with regards to the negotiations to the point where I just said, this is crazy. You know, we're never going to get the Strait of Hormuz open.
Trump is in the Situation Room.
He's in the
Trump is in the
Situation Room, but
Situation
didn't have anything to do with
He's
oil.
been there for 2 hours.
Pentagon pizza orders up 200%.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Robert Pape wrote, everyone should read what Senior Vice President of Exxon, Neil Chapman, says about the oil price surge coming in 2 to 3 weeks. I will post the actual statement in the chat. I'll add it to images, and you guys can go see it. He wrote, commercial inventories of crude oil, of liquids, think petroleum, gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, they've all run down. And running down those inventories has mitigated or offset, supplemented by the release of the strategic petroleum reserves. So he's saying that these lack of oil is now being offset by the strategic petroleum reserve, which we are about to run empty on. All of this strategic petroleum reserves, which most of the Western countries have done, all of this has mitigated the impact. You can model this. We've modeled it. And I think people in the industry have modeled it. We are approaching unheard of inventory levels. I mean, really, really low levels. Did I mention this was the senior vice president of Exxon yesterday? Okay, so I'll requote that. We are approaching unheard of inventory levels. I mean, really, really low levels. You can debate whether it's going to hit those really low levels in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Once you get to that point, then you will see the price shoot up. I mean, I think dated Brent most people, well, a model would say dated Brent North Sea cruise will shoot up. Once you get to that really low inventory level, up to $150 to $160 per barrel. So what he's saying is the reason that these prices are low is they're artificially low because we are flooding the market with our strategic petroleum reserves, but it's going to run out in 3 weeks-ish. Here's the rest of it. The models would tell you that. And then what happens is when the price gets to a certain level, demand destruction brings it back into balance. Prices go so high, it becomes unaffordable. And that's what happens. And so we're at that level right now. I think crude being in this sort of $90 to $110 for the last, whatever it is, 6 weeks, has been really mitigated by running down inventories. It can't last forever. So we'll see what happens. And predicting this in the exact timing, it's always a challenge, but that's the way we see the picture.
That's Exxon.
That's ex-senior vice president of Exxon saying, shit is about to get very bad. Very bad. He says it's a energy. Robert Pape says the next wave of the energy shock is approaching fast. So this $87 a barrel, okay, great, we'll take it because people are
It's
flooding the
Fantasyland.
internet. You're flooding the internet with everything they have. Did I
2
say
weeks
internet?
ago,
Whoa, they're flooding the oil stocks with everything they have. This is what happens when you get old there, Sonny. And yes, watch.
2 weeks ago, I said we have 1 month. Two
Oh,
weeks ago, I said we have 1 month. Now ExxonMobil is saying we have 2 weeks
two,
to 3 weeks.
2 to 3
3.
weeks.
Yeah.
Now, the CEO of Chevron has something to say about this because it's not enough just to hear from Wajeeh and the CEO of senior vice president of Exxon. What do those guys know? Wajeeh just lives there and helps pump it. Live there and help pump it. These guys just sell it. We need a second opinion, third opinion. Here is the CEO of Chevron. June and July will be worse. Okay. That's not good. Exxon says 150 to 160 oil in 2 to 3 weeks. ADNOC, Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, I used to live near their headquarters on the Corniche in Abu Dhabi, says Hormuz won't fully recover until 2027. The buffer is gone, but the price hasn't moved yet. The CEO of Chevron, Mike Wirth, says the buffers and the shock absorbers are steadily being drawn down. The ability for the market to absorb this imbalance is drastically diminished today versus where we are started. Over the next few weeks, we are likely to see those pressures flow through more directly to physical prices, more upward pressure in June and certainly in July. This is the CEO of the world's third largest oil company speaking at a major institutional conference. That's raw ass intelligence right there. Where did you hear that, Mr. Nance? Well, I have a recording of the CEO of Chevron saying shit's gonna get bad June, July. Warning that the next 60 days will be worse than the last 90. That ain't good. Oil dropped 10% this week on Iran deal optimism. Worth's response is that the physical market doesn't care about negotiations. It cares about barrels. Remember we talked about this a week ago? That emptying, the pipelines are going to start running empty to where even if you bought in 2 million barrels of oil that day, if you need 10 million, you're empty. It's as simple as that. Hey, that's not good. So here's a nice picture of
You
the
want a
CEO of
fifth
Enron.
opinion, sixth opinion of authority?
Yeah, sure, I'll take it.
The International Energy Agency
Oh, halas, those
on
guys.
Thursday said the world's worst energy crisis ever.
Hmm.
What?
Okay. I'm holding on to my coffee. I'm gripping my coffee cup because this may be the only form of energy that, it's going to go up because everything goes up when oil goes down, right?
And what happens to the Iranian negotiation position? Because the Iranians know all this shit.
Well, here's
They are
another.
thinking, well, you want us to compromise? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Iranians can take it. Remember, 2 cups of tea.
Yeah.
The first cup of tea is delicious. The second cup of tea, watching your enemy collapse economically, is even more delicious. The second cup of tea always gets us. This is from HFI Research. We are 9 million barrels away from hitting storage levels. That's the equivalent of living paycheck to paycheck on issues like gasoline and distillates. Once we get there, even a minor disruption will result in gasoline lines at gas stations. This chart doesn't look good. All right, this is over 5 years. No, this is over 51 weeks, kept balanced over the last 5 years. This is how it looked years ago. This diving board is where we are now. And guess which direction it's going? That way. Nothing is going to save us. This is July, August, right? We always get big disruptions, usage in July, August. The White House has been betting. They have been betting that they will recover this whole thing, gas prices going down, and Trump said it by the 4th of July. I got some bad news for you, bro. Monday's the 1st of June. You got 4 weeks and 4 days to unfuck yourself. And I have a bad feeling the Iranians are going for a third cup of tea.
Oh
They
my
don't care.
God.
I think they want to
And
disrupt us.
why is that? Why is that? It's because the Trump administration lives in Milli Vanilli land.
Milli Vanilli
Milli
land.
Vanilli land.
Even
Vanilla
here's what
Iceland.
what
That's
oh my God, I can't. The Trump administration, what they don't understand is even if everything goes to normal right now, this second,
This second.
right this second, it will take us at least 6 months to catch up.
No,
At
no,
least.
no. A year, they're saying. That's
no.
if 300 tankers a day start flowing in and out. Also, a lot of those oil contracts are broken, right? So somebody's going to start buying oil. If that happens, yeah, we'll get down to $50 a barrel. But a year, watch, just to start getting back to normal. Trump's doing all this shit for the midterms. And the reason, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm starting with the coming oil shock is because Donald Trump opened his mouth yesterday. And you know it ain't going to be good. So, what do you guys think? Are we fucked or are we fucked?
Yeah, both.
Europe, fucked, no fuck.
Completely.
Middle East, fucked, no fucked.
Fuck.
Completely.
Roger, all hands assess fucked. By the way, this is how we get the decisions on the watch office floor. We go to each desk and we ask for their expert opinion. And as senior national security watch officer, I'm going to turn around and go, sir, we fucked. So, but guess what?
Yeah.
No one believes it. No one believes
Yeah.
it because intelligence doesn't mean anything anymore. It's all
No.
about vibes. Somebody says we fucked a duck. Ducks have been fucked weeks ago. Okay, we are way past ducks. All right? When we blew past ducks. All right? Okay. They say that this oil shock is far worse than the COVID, and COVID was only a shock because of lack of usage, because people wouldn't go out in the streets and risk a a murderous disease to get gasoline. So usage went down. This is blockage, shut off by Iran on one end, America on the other end.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
Meanwhile,
fantastic.
meanwhile, Iran has officially established a train transit to move LNG gas to China and Pakistan. Meanwhile, the Iranian government is able to transport their oil gas through land to China, Pakistan, and India. Meanwhile, the Iranians are having immediate trade, whether they're selling their fruits and vegetables because they are a bread basket for the Middle East. And the Middle East, whether they have good or bad relationship with Iran, they are dependent on Iran as a bread basket for them to feed. And so this is what people in the White House don't understand. We don't have all the leverages that we think we have. Us blocking whatever ships are being intercepted by the Iranians. Iranians are doing ship to ship oil transmission in the middle of the sea. They're doing other stuff that is happening, whether the U.S. government is able to control it or not. And the U.S. government doesn't have enough personnel in the region to intercept everything and everyone that's passing through. So, like, what kind of bullshit are we trying to tell ourselves, and why are we believing our own lies?
Well, speaking of
It's Milli
bullshit,
Vanilli
you're
land.
telling. What's that?
It's Milli Vanilli land.
It is Milli Vanilli land. And
You recall how many weeks ago that FDD was publishing all these so-called analysis about how effective the blockade of Iran would be and how quickly the Iranian economy would collapse. I mean, it's will someone go and arrest them or something?
All they say over there is, get me halas kahwaji, shaiwala. Bring me another cup of tea. I will wait this one out. And if you have any dates, I'll take those too. These people can wait. They've waited 5,000 years. They've outrun the Romans, the Greeks, the Phoenicians, everybody. Halas. Okay. Speaking of Milli, I'm glad you brought up this segue to Milli Vanilli Land, because Milli Vanilli Land was about an imaginary band that lip synced the music. And I am today years old when I learned that the music that Milli Vanilli sang was actually two women who are suing and saying that the one guy, I can't tell if it's Milli or Vanilli, that the one surviving member is not allowed to sing any of their songs. So with that, Donald Trump decided to prove to us that he lives in Milli Vanilli land. This is a tweet he put out yesterday about an oil tanker arriving in Japan. Huge moment. Asia is getting their oil from the United States now. 900,000 barrels just arrived in Japan. America will lead the charge in oil dominance. Here, I'll play this. This is Japanese television showing the arrival of a very large crude carrier. And they're treating it like the Macy's Day Parade on New Year's.
Oh, wonderful.
アメリカ産の原油およそ91万バレルを積んでいます。先月22日にテキサス州を出発しました。中東情勢が悪化した後、ホルムズ海峡を通らない代わりの調達ルート。
Okay, I just played that a little that's from Tom Logan, our Japan expert who lives in Tokyo, who I am coming over. We're going out for sushi. That guy speaks Korean, Chinese, Japanese fluently. I mean, there is no one better Twitter feed about Asia than that guy. But this is him right here, Thomas P. Logan at Tokyo Tom 2020 on Twitter with a cool ass name like that. Go follow him because the shit he has to say is he goes, okay, here's what he says. Tokyo Tom here. This is highly inflated and devoid of context, quite typical of Trump bloviation. Major Japanese networks and business press heavily covered the arrival of this specific ship. They explicitly framed it as an emergency alternative route due to Middle East shipping. Here's the kicker. It's classic hot air Trumpian style for taking a genuine data point, 900,000 barrels arriving, and remove all context. The context is Japan needs 3.1 billion extra barrels of oil per million extra barrels of oil per day. This ship took, count them, halas, one month, 1 month to go from the United States to Japan. And apparently there are no other ships doing this. So, hello, big America.
It's like Project
Trump,
Freedom.
アメリカ産の原油が日本に届くのは
America comes to save the day.
原油は
Like he's fucking Godzilla or something. This is crazy talk, people. From an intelligence community perspective, I'm sorry. This is propaganda. And I turn and I go,
Yeah.
Energy, what's the analysis on this? He goes, they got 900,000 barrels. They need another 2,100,000 barrels to flow through where they're going to collapse. Is that coming from
Per
the
day.
States? No. So,
And they need it per day.
it's being released from their strategic petroleum reserve, of which they say they have 2 to 3 months in Japan. But I just find it fascinating. That is literally Milli Vanilli. Trump saying
It
Japan now is buying American oil. Does anyone not remember what happens when foreigners buy American oil? There's no oil being sold to the Americans. They're selling
Prices.
off our oil. Prices go up. Okay, whatever. I lost. This is just too much.
Yeah.
Here's the analysis. Japan uses over 3.1 million barrels per day. The strategic
Yep.
oil reserve has 365 million barrels, about 4 months of oil for Japan. Also, the U.S. uses 7 million more barrels per day than it produces. So, celebrating this 900,000 barrels, the general outlook is not smart because it's being taken from the 7 million we need and given to Japan so he can Milli Vanilli a tweet that America is now Trump's oil supplier. Bro, they got 4 months. They got 4 months of oil. Yes, Wash. Halas. Tafadhal.
Before this war, the United States consumed 90% of the oil it produces
Yes.
and imported 10% of the oil it consumed,
To
making
fill the shortfall.
8% of that was from Saudi Arabia. The rest of that was from the rest of the Gulf state. That whole 10% is no longer coming to the United States. The United States that was producing that 90% of that oil that was consumed in the United States is now mostly being sold to foreign
It's
countries.
being sold to foreign countries at auction. Highest
Yeah.
prices. Not the projected, not the ones, the WTI 87. That stuff's being sold at like 110, 120. And then it gets put onto tankers. And Trump was bragging, we have 150 tankers coming to America. Motherfucker, they taken all the oil. You know, my car used to cost me $47 to fill a tank. It was $93 yesterday. $93 in Plattsburgh, New York, where they actually have a little bit of extra, bounce, softness in their prices. So much the Canadians go across the border to fill their tanks. Not anymore. This is crazy. This is Milli Vanilli land, and they're treating this Trump is putting out, we are supplying Asia. No, you're not. Last time Japan had this big a dip in oil from the United States was in 1939. And look how that turned out.
Whoa.
They invaded all of Asia to get oil. Oh, halas. Okay. Yikes. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we have not even gone off the first topic of the day.
We've not even talked about casualties yet.
Okay. There are some we haven't talked about casualties, but there are some changes in the memorandum of understanding. Donald Trump has blown it up again.
Yesterday,
Axios was reporting, and this is why I called it the crazy cast. Okay, I'm going to read this to you. Trump put out a statement yesterday, right after Axios said there was a deal. That deal was waiting on two items: Trump to sign it, Mujtaba al-Khamenei to sign it. So what does Trump come out and say? Technically, he ain't signing it. Here we are, back to day 39 again. I'll read it to you because it's fucking crazy. Iran must agree that they will never have nuclear weapons or bomb, because I guess he assumes they wouldn't have more than one bomb, or bomb. The Hormuz Strait must be immediately open. No tolls for unrestricted shipping traffic in both directions. All water mines, bombs, that's what he puts in parentheses, bombs. Water mines, if any, will be terminated. We have removed through detonation numerous such mines with our great underwater minesweepers. Iran will complete the immediate removal and/or detonation of any mines that are left, which will not be many. I got a very hard time believing this is actually happening, but okay, whatever. Ships caught in the strait due to our amazing and unprecedented naval blockade, which will now be lifted, may start the process of heading home. Why is it in quotes? Quotes. Say hello to your wives, husbands, parents, and families from me, your favorite president, who locked your happy maritime asses into the Persian Gulf for 90 plus days. Oh, it doesn't say that, but that's what it means. The enriched material, sometimes referred to as nuclear dust, which is buried deep underground with virtually collapsed mountains caused by our powerful B-2 bomber attack 11 months ago, sitting on top of it, will be unearthed by the United States, of which it is agreed is the only country, along with China, with the mechanical capability to do so. Really, bitch? Then how did those fucking tunnels get built down there anyway? This is madness. This is why I called today the Crazy Cast, because right before I put up the chat, I read this. In close coordination and conjunction with the Islamic Republic of Iran, plus the International Atomic Energy Agency, and destroyed. No money will be exchanged until further notice. Other items of far less importance have been agreed to. I will be meeting now in the Situation Room to make a final determination. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Blah-de, 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 blah. How to blow up an What?
What did I tell you yesterday?
You didn't tell me that it was going to be so long. You didn't tell me it was going to be fucking 30 paragraphs. Why didn't you tell me it was going to be this long, Watch?
Oh my God. I literally said Trump is at a maximus position and Iran is at a maximus position. They all have their own interpretation of the memorandum of understanding.
This is adding.
Immediately, Iran came out and rebuked all of the points that Trump has mentioned. They said uranium enrichment is not even on the table at the moment. Our weapons are not even on the table at the moment. The tolls for the Strait of Hormuz are not on the table at the moment. None of the things that Trump mentioned are on the table. So why would we have an actual memorandum of understanding? I literally said this yesterday. I can't. Oh my God.
But the new feature here is he's actually not threatening to obliterate Iran.
Pete Hegseth is.
Peter Hegseth, did he do that?
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
we saw the video yesterday.
This morning.
In between push-ups.
No, this morning.
What did he say this morning?
He said, we are ready as soon as the negotiations fall apart. to obliterate the Iranian. He literally said this like 30 minutes ago.
Go look it up. Get us the quote because I can hear him now. As soon as the U.S. Department of War receives its orders from President Trump, we are ready to obliterate. That Hegseth and Netanyahu are on the same page. Trump appears to be the obstacle for Hegseth. What's up with that?
But then, they have all this nonsense about speak softly and carry a big stick. It's as if they do the opposite. They speak big, but carry a very soft stick.
Oh yes, yeah. That's what Stormy Daniels
have
said.
A very soft something else. I don't know what.
That's what Stormy Daniels said. Well, despite Donald Trump just a moment ago, Donald Trump saying the U.S. military has found, confirmed, and destroyed mines using underwater machines. NBC News reports the U.S. military has not confirmed that Iran placed mines in the Strait of Hormuz, despite continued searches of the critical waterway. 2 U.S. officials and a person familiar with the matter said, around the start of the war in February, U.S. intelligence officials believed Iran placed mines on the southern side of the strait either before the conflict began or in early days. They said there have been numerous intelligence reports from the U.S. and its allies about Iran placing mines in the waterway. The U.S. military searches using underwater drones that Donald Trump just told me has been finding and blowing up mines left and right. Water robots and manned and unmanned aircraft have found some objects that could be mines, but none have been definitively identified. It could be rocks. It could be a lot of things. Okay, if anything, quote, the threat has been far less robust than we had feared, said a person familiar with the matter. Okay. Whatever.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Trump is contradicted in the same hour that he says they have found, destroyed, and removed many mines with our famous underwater robots. Oh, help me.
Military again.
Or Secretary Pete Hegseth put Tehran on notice. The U.S. is ready to restart strikes on Iran the moment talks collapse. And to back that up, the Pentagon is ramping munition production to 2 times up to 4 times the current level across the global operations. The Strait of Hormuz is still closed. Thousands are dead, but that's not part of the statement. Hegseth's word are our ability to recommend if necessary. We are more than capable. Our stockpile are more than suited for that, both there and around the globe.
Okay. Yeah, good. Thank you, Petey. You can have a seat now. Yeah, okay, great. You spun around shooting double-fisted machine guns like a drunk monkey using the most advanced surface-to-air and surface-to-surface missile systems, which we use for real war. There was the JSSM, the Joint Strike Missile, is a stealth cruise missile. For Iran, if you have no fucking air defense, why would you launch that missile? Why? Use a goddamn bomb dropped off a B-52.
But you know what? A really fun fact here.
Apparently,
a really fun fact here, Malcolm, about ammunition supplies and stockpiles is Pete Hegseth. I don't know if our viewers know this, but he's in Asia. He's at the Shangri-La Security Conference. I think it's in Singapore, right? And he was asked about the U.S. Freezing weapons deals with Taiwan. And he was asked, does that have something to do with the stockpiles going down due to the war in Iran? And he was saying, yeah, we are freezing. We're not going to sell to the Taiwanese. But it has nothing to do with the Epic Fury.
Oh, no. Our stockpiles are fine. And now he's like, we're going to put 2 to 4 times. You're going to need 2 to 4 times because if there's another major war, the JSSM missile, we should never have fired at a country that is covered with mountains and has no radars. Why would you use a self-penetrating missile on a country that can't see it? Kids with goats have a better chance of seeing that missile. And they did. There's video of it. Anyway, by the way, I have live footage of Pete Hegseth depleting U.S. inventories right here. Okay. What's that going to do? Hey, dude. Go. This is real. Here we go. Epic Fury, y'all. Epic Fury. Drunk monkeys with AK-47s. You know what's going to happen. You get freaking beyond Planet of the Apes. Why are we doing this to ourselves, people? Why is the United States actually destroying its position on the planet? And you got Pete Hegseth doing horrible push-ups and bragging. But my favorite part about yesterday is how he's doing push-ups in Japan with the 2,500 Marines that are not in the Persian Gulf. He stopped them from going to the Persian Gulf. Those guys on the USS Tripoli who've been there since January must be big fucking mad. All right? They were like, I want to be in Japan eating sushi and doing push-ups. Oh my God.
Why didn't we say in San Diego, for heaven's sake?
Yeah, why didn't they say it? What is it supposed to be, some sort of strategic deterrence against China? China's laughing their asses off. You know, they're like, send all the Marines that you want. You ain't got no missiles. Speaking of missiles, Dude 44, the F-15E Strike Eagle that was shot down mid-war. We have now analyzed that it was shot down by a Chinese-made surface-to-air missile, shoulder, what we call a MANPAD, Man-Portable Air Defense System, or we used to call a shoulder-launched anti-air missile, a SAM. And this missile obviously went up the chute. Now, I've seen Iranian video of that, and I don't believe this assessment. I believe that it was a Chinese-made missile, but it was being tracked by one of those vehicle launchers that had the thermal images. And I knew that immediately when I saw the video that it was real, because in most fake AI video, it just blows up in a sparkly thing. I saw the 2 ejection seats go off one after another. I was like, that's a real shoot down. I think it was a bigger version of this that was mounted on the vehicle, the one that damaged the F-35 that shot down the drone the other day, that generally has that green box, yellow box tracker system in it. So that story, whatever. Finally, in big-ass news, the United Arab Emirates, it has been determined, carried out a number of strikes on Iran early in the war. You guys might recall there was a photograph of a Mirage 2000 over Shiraz. And I was like, Mirage 2000? What's a Mirage 2000 doing over Shiraz? The only people that operates them is the French and the Emiratis and the Qataris. And believe me, the Qataris are not flying Mirage 2000s over Iran. And we know on the last day of the war, the Emiratis flew Mirage 2000s over Lavon Island and carried out a bombing attack. But here it is. This is the video of a Delta-winged aircraft over Shiraz during the war. And nobody in our coalition was operating the Mirage 2000 except Qatar and the Emirates. And then when I first saw this video, I was like, it's not the French. Are the French being involved? And there's a still of the aircraft. Delta wing configuration single vertical stabilizer. So it's likely now, that was March 17th. It's likely now, and here's a photograph of the Emirati Mirage 2000 sitting innocently on a runway doing nothing. Right? So it has now been assessed by the Wall Street Journal that the Emirates did numerous airstrikes in support of the war early on in the war. I'm sure that's why they also got 500 ballistic missiles fired at them. Fortunately, the Emiratis' air defenses worked. Okay, does anybody have anything else? Wajeeh, you still have one from yesterday, right?
Yeah. But Jacob, you can go first since you were about to say something.
Yeah, I mean, Bloomberg is reporting today that I think it was 3 U.S. soldiers were injured when the Iranians shot a missile in Kuwait, at Kuwait. Was it on Wednesday or? Yeah, I think it was Wednesday.
Yeah, the Ali Al Salam Air Base. Yeah, they're saying that 2 MQ-9 drones were 30 million each, and 3 soldiers were injured in that attack, which tells you the Patriot air defense did not intercept that. Or did the drones get through and the missile got intercepted? Well, the base got hit. Base got hit. Wajeeh was going to talk about this. Wajeeh, this is the Yemeni MQ-9 drone being shot down by the Yemenis right here.
Another 50 million dollar drone that the United States operates over the Middle East has been hit down. Yesterday, you joked that we are probably sending our rookies to fly these drones over Yemen because they're taking them down like candy. Let's just also mention anytime one of these drones are taken down, they get collected and they get sent to
China,
scientists,
Russia,
China and Russia, so they can replicate the technology that exists on these pieces of drones and get used against the United States. And these drones have some of our most advanced technologies in the U.S. military, including now AI advanced operational systems and cameras that can see beyond what other cameras can't see. So some crazy technologies that you wouldn't be thinking about exist on these drones.
Well,
and it's really scary that they get their hands on it.
This photograph on the left here, where I'm pointing to, that is the nose wheel off of a drone that was shot down in Yemen yesterday. And this is a photograph of the MQ-9's nose wheel. You can see they're identical, so they've confirmed it. Here's some other footage. But it probably has the name of the guy who's the combat controller on there. This says DC leader on that, and that's the image of it. So obviously, by my count, that is 30 MQ-9 drones shot down since February 28th. 30. Of course, the purpose of these drones is to be shot down in environments so that U.S. aircrew can't go there. Here's more. Actually, here's pictures of the missiles on the rails. This is in Ma'rib. Missiles on the rail. So this thing was shot down with its live ordnance on board. Here's a third missile. This is what it looks like in real life. So these are Hellfire missiles on the rails of that drone. Okay, I had only one other thing, and then we'll go to really quick questions. You guys might have heard there's an Ebola outbreak in Africa. I am fortunate enough never to have gone anywhere near Ebola or when this is a hemorrhagic fever, by the way. Ebola makes your insides melt. technically. It like Marburg virus and other viruses, it's bad. But it's generally survivable. And the reason that people get Ebola is because they come into physical contact with their loved ones and it comes through contact. So you actually have to be completely isolated to do that. But apparently, some Americans were in the region of the Ebola outbreak, and the United States government, the Trump administration, wants to quarantine them, but doesn't want them to come back to the United States the way some of the other, I refer to them as Ebola Americans, have. So, without asking the government of Kenya, the United States decided we would ship them all off to Kenya and put them in a military concentration medical camp. The government of Kenya has just been ordered by a Kenyan court to keep their American Ebola asses out of Kenya because, one, y'all didn't go through the legal process to do this, and two, you just said, let's ship them off to some other part of Africa. So, I mean, this is it's not even an imperialist mindset. It's a colonialist mindset, right?
Yeah.
They're in Africa. Let's send them back to Africa because Africans don't care about any of this stuff. Anyway, that's the last that I have on that. Let's go to questions. Anybody got any comments on Ebola Americans?
Let's go quick.
You would think, America, when you look at any Western passport, the passport, the first thing you see, it's a promise to protect that citizen no matter where they go. When you have
back
U.S.
in the
citizens,
old days.
yeah, but when you have citizens who are U.S. citizens paying taxes and all, and they're abroad, you'd think that the United States would make it a priority to take care of their own people and find a safe way to get them back home. And the United States is more than capable of bringing them back home and putting them in facilities where they are isolated and where they can get the treatment that's necessary. The unfortunate thing about the current Ebola outbreak is this particular strain does not have a vaccine. And that is what majority of the global scientists are struggling with, and they think that it might take them another 2 months to come up with a vaccine.
Yep.
That is a very scary place to be at, especially when you're not in your home country and when you're not around your own people, and being isolated in foreign countries. I wish all the people who are in Africa and the American people safety and fast recovery from this disease.
It used to be we cared about Americans overseas. We cared about their health. We cared about their rights and all that. Not anymore. Jacob? Oh, I thought you had a comment.
I agree.
First question.
Yeah.
Ryuzaki writes, Chief, while doing summaries of the Jewish communities in Yemen here on Substack, I had gotten to learn some about the Houthis and the Zaidis. Can you guys give folks more context on who they are, especially how they relate to Yemen itself and the region? Wajeeh, that is a Substack for you to write up. And please post the link when you're finished your homework on that. Go a deep dive on the Houthis and the Zaidis, especially with regards to the geography of that. Julia says, regarding a drone that hit a house in Romania this week, a friend of mine claimed today that both sides collect unexploded drones and reuse them. Therefore, we cannot say for sure that drone was actually sent off by the Russians. It was sent off by the Russians.
It was.
Ukraine does not reuse Russian drones. Ukraine manufactures them and will investigate them. And in fact, the new American Lucas drone is a Iranian drone fired by Russia, given to the United States by Ukraine. Ukraine has its own capability, and the drone came from the direction of Russia.
Yeah.
All right. Somebody says,
100%.
well, they wanted us to talk about the drone strike to see if it was more than a fluke. I think it was a fluke. It doesn't, a lot of problems with Russia and their mapping is that the Ukrainians do a lot of jamming, and they're relatively effective against these drones. But sometimes Russia puts into their map database You see these drones fly into apartment buildings because those apartment buildings didn't exist 10 years ago when they did their mapping database. Saw it in Odessa, right? Like it went into some family's house, killed a family of 3, and people were saying this building wasn't here 5 years ago. It was a newly built building. So the Russians' geospatial intelligence is horrible. They're using maps from the 50s, 60s, 70s, or when they occupied Ukraine. So that happens. Malcolm, I asked of Jacob of Well, when on the spycast of Iran, while the spycast of Iran is the best news source in the world, I wonder if you have time to read anything from Alyssa Valdez Rodriguez. She's been writing on the findings of Zorro Ranch. Oh, it's either the best spy novel of all time or the implications are batshit crazy. This is related to Epstein, the Mossad, all sorts of crazy shit. Somebody is going to have to read that up. We'll check it out. Michael Kelmaris says,
just a quick comment on that. It looks like to me that the Russians got compromised on Ehud Barak
Mhm.
and him under pressure.
From who?
Yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein?
That whole Epstein thing was orchestrated by Russia, and one of the most troublesome one was Ehud Barak.
That book is going to be
called. That's what it looks
called.
like to me.
That book's going to be called "Are You Fucking Kidding Me?"
Yeah.
There's no other way to put it. Malcolm, precognition. This is from Yolanda L.C. McKenzie. You forewarned, but I dare say the obvious. It wasn't from a crystal ball. Yeah, we're always forewarning on this site. I just did not think of the nightmare in my lifetime. I am an oldie, and this was not supposed to be in my lifetime. Yeah, because everything that we're seeing came from Bizarro's Superman world, right? Everything's backwards. Or where is it when Captain Kirk they had those Kirk from the other dimension? And they all have cool goatees and knives. I mean, this is really a backwards universe. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 235, that's a little uranium joke. How bad does Trump want to snort that nuclear dust like he does with Adderall?
Trump Jr.
That's funny. He
He
got
wants
some
to
funny
snort it.
beers. Malakalypse, who has helpfully put down a pronunciation of his username, says, what are the other countries we are in conflict going to learn from Iran? Going forward, are we going to see other countries become better at using the same strategies as Iran? I think they're all going to copy Ukraine. I don't think they're going to copy Iran. Iran just showed them what staying power looks like, right? You can defeat the Americans if you just sit around and have 2, 3, maybe even 4 cups of tea.
Sweet tea.
Sweet tea, hilwa. Or
Sweet tea.
if you've had too much
like
tea,
this much sugar at the bottom of the cup that's this small.
If you had a tea, you could always have a Turkish coffee, right? Denise Clover says, I've been reading that Iran, Ukraine, and Lebanon could all converge and start World War III. Any thoughts? No. And here's why. Money, money, money. Must be funny. Hey, you know why? The oligarchy is too busy making money off of all this. I never used to believe to the oligarchy till I wrote my book, The Plot to Destroy Democracy, and saw that Russia literally used all of its intelligence agencies to make people rich, and that Russian oligarchy had in fact created a world above governments. If you have that money, if you're a billionaire, governments, borders, passports, none of that means anything to you. Means nothing to you. And you hang out amongst them, right? I used to tell this joke about when I was back in the Navy, I pulled a submarine mission and got off in a small seaport called Puerto Banús. It's not small anymore. But when I got off back there, if you didn't have a helicopter pad on your yacht, you were not allowed to dock there. Okay? That's back when the oligarchy used to keep its mouth shut about its money. But with Trump, the oligarchy is now mainstream. And you don't have African dictators don't go off to Monaco anymore. They want to stay at home and have 20, $30 billion and hang out with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. And by the way, the end of that joke was when I was in that small port of Puerto Banús. That's in a town called Marbella. And Marbella was a sad little village with all the Saudi billionaires quick hiding there. And the Saudis didn't like their police cars. So they replaced them all with BMW 750s and Mercedes S-Class sedans as police cars. That's where the oligarchy lives. Right? Oh, and all the street signs are in English, Spanish, and Arabic. So there is a world out there where now I don't have to believe in the oligarchy. I see it every day. They're bragging left and right. But the world, there ain't going to be a third world war out of it. They want to spend money and have apparently 14-year-old women to trade.
One thing about the U.S. economy, I don't like if you would allow me just to say this. We no longer have a capitalistic economy in the U.S. We have an agala, an agala, an agal,
They're
agal,
calling
agal,
Watch, they're calling it the broligarchy now because all the
bro.
tech bros run
Oh,
it.
uh, like
Broligarchical.
it's like if you look at the top 10 countries who's most capitalistic, we don't make it to the top 10.
Yeah.
We're not in the top 10. And anytime you bring a Keynesian ideology versus a classical ideology of a capitalistic economic model, which is both of them are capitalistic economic models that have won economic Nobel prizes, they all of a sudden they call you socialist. I'm like, hold on. That's a Keynesian idea. The difference between a Keynesian and a classical model is the classical ideology tells you that the prices are not sticky. They move as demand and supply go up and down without any governmental intervention. The Keynesians will tell you, no, honey, the price because you live in such a fast information, the prices end up becoming sticky, and you end up needing the government to intervene to unstick these prices. And anytime we ask for these interventions, we have some sort of oligopoly people coming out and calling it socialist for some reason.
Yeah, they do. And you know why? Because you're fucking with their money. Their money comes from stealing your money. I mean, you know what? As an intelligence professional for years, I really resisted the whole idea of oil wars, things being traded. But the oligarchy is so damn obvious since 2016 when Trump took over. It's beyond obvious. He's thrown it into our faces and now he steals our money. By the way, I know I made a mistake back then by saying that it was 14-year-old women with regards to the people that were being trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein. Children, boys and girls, children are being bought and sold by people who feel that
Guys,
there is
I'm
no
out here. I
accountability
gotta go.
because they rich. You gotta go?
I gotta go.
Go.
You're all radical left lunatics. And by tomorrow, I want to know how much we boosted Milli Vanilli on the Spotify charts. So someone needs to look into that. Guys, I will see. Oh, I can't. Oh, by Monday. I'll be back on Monday because
Take a day.
Matthias is playing tomorrow. Final game of the season.
You
I'll
and
see you then.
your family life, what's it like? I'm going to go walk the dogs. All right, Waj. Jacob, we'll see you. Okay, one last question. I'll answer it because it's about the Romanian attack. And I know the difference between children and women. Sorry. Thank you, Linda Khadem. She knows I know the difference. That being said, and believe me, I didn't believe any of that QAnon crazy stuff. Now we found out that the people QAnon loved and adored Donald Trump were actually the people trafficking children. And the evidence is overwhelming. Overwhelming. I don't have to be an intelligence expert to show you there's millions of documents. And here's the worst part. My government refuses to go after any of the men that were involved in that trafficking. To them, it was Jeffrey Epstein, and now they're giving sweetheart deals to the woman who was raping children herself. And I've got legislatures in the United States that want to lower the age of consent in marriage to 14. We just had a guy get off, the completely corrupt Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, a man who stole $1,000 Mont Blanc Meisterstück pen from another lawyer on camera, all right, who was impeached for being corrupt, just gave of course, rich white man a 30-day sentence for raping a 6-year-old for 3 years. Okay? That's the way it works in the broligarchy. And if this were any other country and we were talking about this, if this were Uganda or sorry, Uganda, no offense, I'm thinking back when Idi Amin was then, we would be planning to overthrow that government in the United. We would be. That's what a normal government would do if you were child trafficking children as much as blood diamonds. This is sick, right? You guys put it correctly. So I know I go off on some tangents, but I see these things on the basis of intelligence and evidence, and it's real. My problem is that I have 30% of America, which includes an overwhelmingly large percentage of law enforcement, that doesn't think raping children, if you're a rich white male, is a problem. All right? Oh, crazy. It doesn't matter if you're a rich white male. If you're a rich male, it doesn't matter. You can get away with it because money is more important than the livelihood of our nation or our children. As you know, I don't buy that. So let me answer this question from Comrade Thomas Young, which was also repeated by Julia. Is the deal being proposed better, worse, or equivalent to the JCPOA? Far worse. They got 60% enriched uranium. Iran only had 3.5% enriched uranium when Trump tore up the deal. And they were like, fuck it, we can build a bomb now. Whee! So, yeah, a lot worse. And they're going to get, $24 billion plus maybe an investment fund of $300 billion. Next, was Romania a false flag, Russian intentional incursion, or Russian accidental incursion? It was a Russian accidental incursion. The drone was en route to Ukraine through Romania. It was not a false flag. Ukraine does not have 1 second to waste any ordnance. If they had shot that drone back, they would have shot it at Russia and blown up something in Russia. Yeah. Oof. So, Saudi Arabia wants regime change. Saudi Arabia is also playing the U.S. off of China. It's just a comment. Last comments, 14-year-old Elizabeth Tennant. 14-year-old girls are just that, girls. Children. Got it. Children. Okay? And we have right-wing crazy commentators saying that's not pedophilia. Tucker Carlson said that. Y'all sick. All right? Sick. And they don't seem to have any problem if it's super hot, young girls, children being treated like adults. It's absolutely crazy. Elizabeth Tennant says, child trafficking is part of the patriarchy and therefore nothing new. Yeah, we know. The problem is we're in 2026 and we're finding out the president of the United States is the most mentioned person in the physical files of child trafficking, the largest child trafficking ring in American history, outside of the Vatican having priests rape children. I was an altar boy, I never got approached, but I was one of the lucky ones. That being said, things are unhealthy here. And, this war is an indicator of the unhealthiness of this universe. Okay, I've gone through all the questions. The ones that I didn't get to, I will go back and manually answer. Wajeeh, do you have anything you'd like to say before we go on our new and extended now hour and a half program?
A lot of people have been asking me how do we win the next election, and uh, my answer to that is by winning people over from the other side. We do like a lot of times we like to demean the other side, but we have to understand. I grew up in a cult, and I understand the cult mentality. What we need to do is talk to the other side like as if we're missionaries. When you talk to when you talk to a missionary, even if you're offending their belief, they smile back at you and they take you with love and they talk to you back with respect and they try to understand where you're coming from so they can convince you to believe in their faith. You need to look and you need to have some empathy and you need to have some understanding that the other side is like the other side may have been believing in a lot of conspiracy theories.
Right.
But the scary part is a lot of their conspiracies were way closer to the truth than it was closer to conspiracy. When they are talking about deep state, they are talking about corruption. When they are talking about human trafficking is real.
It's
If you
real.
deny it, it's real. If you deny its existence, they're basically thinking that you're supporting human trafficking. Just understand that they have their own terminology, understand their terminology so you can speak to them by heart. In Arabic, we have a saying, speak a language someone understands, you speak to their mind, speak the language of their native tongue, you speak to their heart. And the native tongue isn't just the language you're born with. It's what comes, everything that comes with it, the culture, the attitude, the environment. And there's a lot of homework that we need to do. A lot of people that voted for Bernie Sanders voted for Trump. That means you have more in common with the other side than you do with any other thing. That's all I
Let me
have to say.
Let me make a quick cultural reference. For those of you who are my age, if you recall back in the 60s, there was a movie that was huge. It might even have won Oscars called Gigi, Gigi. And Sir Laurence Olivier sang a song in there called This is
How adorable they are. Each time I see a little girl of 5 or 6 or 7, I cannot resist a joyous urge to smile and say thank heaven. For little girls, their little girls get bigger every day.
Okay, thanks. Gigi was a film about child courtesans, a woman who was going to be put into aristocracy by child sex trafficking her at 14. And then in the middle of the film, Laurence Olivier comes out and sings a song called Thank Heavens for Little Girls. Help me, Jesus. So yes, it is. The reason I was making this analogy is there is a historical precedence for this, right? This has happened all throughout history. Shouldn't happen in the modern world of 2026. We have a patriarchy, right? A world that is turning this on its head and wants child sex trafficking because they have money and they can do anything they want. Look, you got Elon Musk out there trying to have what he refers to as a legion of children because he believes the world is going to end or something. Good God, people. All right. If I were to have seen this in any of my missions, okay, and we all know in Afghanistan there is a culture of child sex trafficking boys. Everybody who's been there knows this, right? These little chaiwalas, they're not there to serve tea, okay? So, and we saw it all throughout the entire 20 years we occupied Afghanistan. Do you think we had organizations out there trying to break that up? Nope. That's just the way they're called.
Uh-oh. Malcolm Nass is getting cut off. Yay. Yeah, he's gotten frozen. I'm assuming his network or he's even might have received a phone call. On an interesting side of the news, uh, before I go there, again, If you want to win the election, focus on the economy. If you want to win the election, focus on the people. If you want to win the election, focus on draining the swamps, because that's the words that they like to use. Just make sure that you're using the terminology that the other side needs. And even if you disagree with them, or if, on everything else, the point is not to, beat them over whatever they believe in. The point is to win them over so we can have some sort of government that we can all work together. When I asked, when I had the radio talk show on 91.9 KSTV, Manhattan, Kansas, I interviewed former governor of Kansas, John Carlin, and I asked him, what do you miss about politics? And he said, I miss the days where I would go to the state senate, and or state house, I forgot, and have a hard debate with one of my colleagues, and we get out from that debate and go to a steakhouse and hang out like friends. And the reality of that is showing that on one hand, we represent our constituents and we take it very serious. And then after that, we are colleagues. We get out and we work with each other and we hang out as friends and we learn from each other. And 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 that creates an actual bonding relationship with your fellow representatives, that when it comes down to actually working, you're willing to work with the other side. You're willing to sit down and make shit happen. That that is no longer the case at the moment. And I think we can still go back there if our people if our people change the way we are demanding culture war, and instead demanding to fight the ultra rich versus the ultra poor. We have the keep. The richer keeps getting richer and the poor people keeps getting poorer. Welcome back, Malcolm. It's nice to have you back. So, that is something we need to focus on. Unfortunately, fortunately, I'd like to wish everyone happy Eid, because it's Eid al-Adha, where we celebrate uh, the uh, Prophet Ibrahim when he was asked to sacrifice his son Isaiah, and he followed that. I'm assuming I'm getting a call from Malcolm. But in Minnesota, one Muslim was shot at a mosque celebrating Eid. So we need to work a little bit on our gun violence. Did you want to shut the space, Malcolm? Hold on. I'm not seeing Malcolm. Malcolm just wrote. Sign off. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Like, subscribe, and share. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching a recording, go ahead and subscribe over there and come to us on Substack. Please help support Malcolm reach 100,000 subscribers on Substack. He's been working really hard, and seems like there has been an adjustment period here. So if you could take a second, go up there, click on that button, and subscribe to his channel. Help him reach 100,000 subscribers. That would make a huge difference in the algorithm, where it will boost all of his writing so people can be up to date, and consider becoming a paid subscriber. His paid subscription is only $7 a month, and it you get access to a lot of insight, and you get access to some of the best intel regarding the situation in the Middle East. Like, subscribe, and share. And as always, I like to say, "Ma salama, bye bye." Bilingrizi, goodbye. We'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Apparently, timed out.